Hi everyone, it's Scott here from That's English School. 英語研究プロジェクト。よくある間違いを分析します。Handmade と Homemade。同じような感じがしますよね。確かにすごく似てます。別の例として、Start と Begin もあります。その違いは何なんでしょうかね。こういうシノニムがよくありますよね。日本語で同義語と言います。意味が大体一緒ですが、でもやっぱり最終的に意味を一つ一つ勉強しとかないとダメですね。ポイントが大体一緒ですからね。この間、手作りジャムをいただいて、It's handmade と言われました。違和感ありませんか？ Handmade jam では全然普通の英語じゃないのと思っている方がほとんどだと思いますけど、どうなんでしょうかね。Handmade jam。なんか違うな。そのような気がします。今回は Handmade の世界に一緒に冒険してみませんかSo let's start off by looking at the problem, and then the reason, then the solution, and with some example sentences. Okay, let's nip this one in the bud. First, let's look at the problem. These cookies are handmade. These cookies are handmade. When I first heard this sentence, I immediately felt something was off. You know, like somebody eating ice cream with chopsticks. It just makes you feel weird, something fundamentally wrong. Look at it like this. If I said, Scott, these cookies are handmade, I would be happy, but at the same time, I'm not comfortable with the word choice. But if you said, Scott, these cookies are homemade, then I immediately have a warm and kind of emotional response. Which one sounds more delicious? Handmade cookies or homemade cookies? I'd say the homemade ones. You want to find out why? Let's move on to the reason. If you go online to a website like Etsy, where people sell things that they have made by themselves, like jewelry or accessories or bags, some of the sellers use the words handmade, and other people use the word homemade. They're used in the same way. They are both adjectives, but they evoke different feelings. First, let's look at homemade. This is something that was made at home by the owner's hard work and effort. It can also mean that something was made locally. The object was made or assembled by the person themselves. It is not professionally made, and it can have a little bit of a negative impression. That's because it's amateurish. It's not perfect. Some people love homemade things because of the imperfect feel they have. A little bump, slightly off balance. They have a warm and very human touch. What about handmade? Basically, this means something that was made by hand and not by a machine. When we use handmade, we usually imagine it was made by a professional. It's beautifully constructed. There are no mistakes. It's a luxury item. It's often expensive. It sounds like it was made by a master craftsperson with a lot of experience. It took a lot of training and dedication to master this technique. I guess an example of a Japanese product would be something like Japanese paper. So the word homemade sounds amateur and warm. The word handmade sounds professional and high quality. So if you make cookies, jam, or perhaps even clothing, depending on how professional you want to sound, you should choose the word carefully. If it's something homely, like some banana bread that you just want to give as a little gift or serve up at tea time with friends, then I'd choose homemade. It sounds more delicious and the amateur touch sounds very endearing. Instead of buying a cake for her son's birthday, she decided to opt for something more meaningful and worked all afternoon on a homemade cake. If you have incredible skill close to a professional, perhaps you have a special license or sell your work for money, then you should use handmade. It sounds high quality. Instead of ordering something online, Yusuke worked with a local jeweler for months to design a handmade engagement ring that was one of a kind. Just remember that native speakers use both of them, but I want you to think carefully about which one is more suitable for your particular situation. Here are 5 example sentences to give you even more practice and to really make it hit home the difference between homemade and handmade. First one is this. I forgot. Although the homemade cake wasn't the prettiest, it tasted better. Try that one again. Although the cake wasn't the prettiest, it tasted better than anything store-bought. Store-bought is basically the exact opposite of homemade. A lot of people who are really busy choose the store-bought option. In the UK, we say shop-bought. Handmade jewelry can be a very lucrative business if celebrities talk about them on social media. If something is lucrative, it means it makes you a lot of money. It's often paired with the word business, a lucrative business. Are these cookies homemade? They sure are. They're just something I threw together last night. So if you throw something together, it means you didn't really put a lot of thought into it and you did it like really quickly without really, making a big plan. It's often used for cooking or also for putting an outfit together, especially for ladies. I just threw it together. I bought handmade leather shoes in Italy. They cost an arm and a leg, but well worth the money. When something costs an arm and a leg, it means they are extremely expensive. I don't care if a gift is all wonky and handmade. It's the thought that counts. Wonky is a great word which means imperfect and maybe a little bit strange. You may have heard a version of it in the title of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Now he was a strange man. The next video for you is this one right here. It's about how to use the idiom get into. Now, I'm going to get into these cookies because they just look a little bit too good. Cheers.